It's that service over sales mentality, right? Like obviously I hire a bunch of people, train a bunch of people. I always have the customers here, your commissions are here. If you ever get those two things mixed up, you will get mixed up out of this industry. Entitlement is all over the world right now, no matter what industry, what you're talking about, participation trophies, all that type of stuff. If you're grateful each and every day, you won't be entitled. Money can start your journey, but if you don't have a why that's worth more than money, which is those three people, Jesse, Hannah, and Madison, you're not going to continue to do that journey. You'll screw it up, right?
100%.
But when you actually contribute, right? I'm trying to remember which guy it is. I was just listening to him. It's like it's not what you consume when you become successful. It's what you can contribute.
Oh, hey, oh. You are now tuned into the best roofing podcast in the world, the Roof Trollz.
I know I keep saying that is even out there. Like we all don't really know each other. And so all the conversations have been good. And I'm like, fuck, we're not recording all this. Like these are like really good ones.
Good content. Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
Well, we knew each other through Zoom meetings, and that was about it back in the day.
Yeah. Well, Roof Trollz, baby, we're back. I actually love when we enter the episodes already talking. Like that's I don't know, that's my shit. Like I get into that. And we have a special guest here, Reed and Angelo. Reed, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, I got to meet you. Well, we'll go way back. How I got into the industry and how we got to meet was back in 2006. I had lived kind of a on and off crazy life, so to speak, in and out of really good jobs. Always found a way to screw that up for myself a little bit, you know. And I ran into Tony, and I had one kid on the way. Tony's all about changing lives. And what he said to me is he looked me right in the eyes, and he goes, if you knock on doors and you help people, I can change your life for not only you, but your family. That was 20 years ago. And I'm still in the industry, 20 years strong. It's not really normal for a door knocker, but we are definitely in the best industry you ever could be in.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Deshaun, so we're the Roof Hustlers, but he always says that this is like the eighth wonder of the world. It's like so many people don't know how, one, lucrative, and two, how just amazing this industry really is. It can catapult you. Like you said that you were a couple jobs here and there. Like that's the story of us. Like I couldn't hold a job down to save my life. I got into this industry and then it was like a calling for me. Like when I got in here immediately, my eyes opened and everything. I was just like, holy shit, these guys are knocking on doors and they're changing lives. And like you said, and like Tony told you, not even just our lives, like other people's lives on top of that. It's just an amazing feeling.
Don't get me on my soapbox with that. Like that's on multiple. That was like my passion. So, you know, Elijah, so two people in my life have talked to me about my potential because I went to school for welding. I went to school for I went to college at Ball State for telecommunications, and I didn't finish, but I went there for 3 years to do things like this. Right. But Elijah and then my wife are the two people in my life that said, if you would just pick something, you're smart, you're good looking, you have all this potential.
I never said good looking.
And you did actually. He said his wife.
Yeah, he did. Well, the story how I got into it is because of you, and we were at our fantasy draft. It was Elijah and one of our guys, Matt, and all of us, you know, were doing this like fantasy draft, and they're like telling me about how much they make and doing this, and I'm at the railroad, and you know, like a year before that, Elijah's like, dude, you have all this potential, like I said, and he's like, you just don't pick anything. But I think it's because I didn't know I was waiting for this. Because I'm never leaving this.
Yeah, once you get into it, you don't. And, you know, the changing the lives, you know, you guys are going to have a guy on later today. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but it was kind of my story as well. You know, I had the one kid, one on the way. You're going to have Dan Walrack on Beyond the Hustle later today. And how involved you actually have to be with your significant other to do this business, because you're going to miss some birthday parties. You're going to miss some dinners, right? And if you don't have that significant other bought in, matter of fact, you're going to call home and want to come home. Have you ever had those days on doors?
Oh, man, a bunch. And we talk, what you're saying right now, we talk about a lot on Roof Trollz too. Like I was probably almost damn near every episode. None of us got into this wanting to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody got into roofing. That's the coolest part about this industry is like none of us set out to be roofers or own roofing companies or knock doors or anything. None of us had that in mind. I guess the only type of luck I do believe in is the one where we found this industry. It just somehow landed in our laps, and then we just took off and ran with it. But I tell people when we actually hire them on, I always say, like, welcome to the last industry you're ever going to work in. Like, I can't see myself, like he just said, I'll do some form of fashion until I'm dead or retired in this industry, 100%.
I think that's like such a misunderstood thing that we do and I've talked about it before. So if anyone has listened to this, like Elijah already knows when like a woman, an older like woman hugs you and cries and says like, I was praying for this, like, thank you. That's what people see this. And they're like, you guys have fun, or like, you guys went to some fancy restaurant, or they see that stuff and they don't get, there's so much more to it. I'm so grateful to meet other people like you, because there's not, like in our area, to me, it's like there's us that have that sentiment. And now we're meeting you guys. And we didn't get to tell everybody, we're out in Minnesota right now. We're in your guys' neck of the woods. But it's like, it's not just us. We're finding out that there's other people that actually, like, pardon my language, but like give a shit, like genuinely care about that person. And I think that's what's so missing in this.
It's that service over sales mentality, right? Like, obviously I hire a bunch of people, train a bunch of people. I always have the customers here, your commissions are here. If you ever get those two things mixed up, you will get mixed up out of this industry. You have to have a service mentality. It's all about personal development, about what we do. That life-changing thing that you opened up with, I can talk about that for probably 10 days.
Oh,
right?
yeah, 100%.
I didn't read books before. Now I read 3 books in 2 weeks, right? I do probably 30 trainings a day on leadership. And the reason you do those things is because you want to give them back. Because someone like your story with Elijah here, and I kind of give me the chills right now. I get really emotional when we talk about this stuff. He brought you into this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to bring someone else into this, and I'm going to bring someone, and it's just going to keep going in that cycle. And people only see what they want to see. They're only going to see that fancy dinner, that. They don't see the hard work behind that stuff that we do. But that allows us to do these things, to get with like-minded people, and we can come together and change the industry as a whole for the good. So just love what you guys are doing.
Damn, dude, now you're giving me the chills, because like this is our shit. Like this is like what we love talking
but
about.
I like what he just touched on too, because we always joke around about that. But none of our friends know what the fuck we do. Like, none of them do. They like you just said, like they only see us like doing the podcast or shooting a couple things of content. They might see us, like you said, like did dinner on a plane or whatever. Like, it's just all glamour and fun to them. They have no idea the amount of hours and stress that's on us on a consistent basis, especially stress. And like, I wanted to touch base with that with you. So how many sales guys do you have?
Currently right now we have 14. Yep. 14
sales guys. You guys did $65 million a couple of years ago.
We did. Yeah.
That is unbelievable. And you have to manage over that, man. Yeah. 65. To put that in perspective, guys, the most that we've ever done at Roman Roofing was last year, 14 million. $65 million is insane.
With about the same sales team.
Well, how many guys did you have then? Did you have the same guys?
We had 20 to 21 selling, right?
Okay.
Like, it was all hands on deck. Like, I was going into the office at 5 a.m. I was working until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, 7 days a week, right? Managing the workflow, the sales flow. And then
you have to at that amount. Yeah.
Selling myself, training in new, it was almost the funnest year I've ever had, because you just operate, right? It's just, you go. And a lot of people don't have the same mentality as we have. And, I got to know you guys a little bit, because you guys had great successful, when we were with a different organization where we first got to know each other, you guys did some really great things, right? And your guys' numbers were always good. And I think you were the leader of that at that time.
Yeah, I was the team lead there.
Yeah. And, you were talking about your friends don't see it, and you talk about that 65 million, and then it's like, what type of grind is that, right? Well, I tell you what, I didn't see my kids very much, right? I didn't see the wife very much, but they knew what that's going to do for our family, right? The gift of service to other people, people are always like, you got to be selfless. And it's almost, you have to be selfish to that selfless thing. And 22, 65 million, being the lead of that sales team, it was a great year.
Reed, man, I want to say, I don't know if I'm going to steal that from you, but you need to coin that. You need to be selfish with being selfless. That's a pretty powerful statement.
Well, I like all the leadership like that you're doing, like going out, because I'm a big believer in that. Like you have to further educate yourself outside of just the company. You can't, a lot of people in this industry, they rely solely on the company to teach them everything that they need to know. And you can't do that. You have to pursue it. There's got to be some type of passion behind it. And then, you know, I've dealt with some pretty good reps, but nothing like what you're dealing with. So I think the biggest reps that I've dealt with, you know, I had a couple of them. Sean Harrison, shout out Sean Harrison, one of our partners. He did like $2.5 million underneath me. Matt Lyon came close to it 1 year, so 1.7 million. Shout out Matt Lyon. But you have to manage over people that are seriously like, I mean, it's like an NFL coach or something like that. Like all of your guys are doing. Yeah, we talked to the one kid we had at the dinner when we were in Utah together. The kid that I really like that kid too. He's young.
Yeah, Nate Kissam.
Yes.
Congratulate. Shout out to Nate Kissam, man. You know, something we pride on ourselves is running people through a good training before they get out on the door. So they're, you know, we get them ready for it, and we let them know that, hey, listen, it's going to be, you know, It's very simple, but it's not easy. And his first year, he did over $2 million.
That's just so you know, you can't steal that. That patent's coming. That's what I say to people. I always tell people door knocking is, it's simple, but yeah, it's not easy.
Not easy.
Yeah, no.
And first year rep, I think he actually started towards the end of May.
Damn.
Man, he just killed it.
Yeah, he told us over 2 million. Yeah, that's insane. Yeah. But so how do you, managing over people like that you know, like, you know how this industry works. Everybody's cool until they start getting paid. Then it's like, then you start seeing like, okay, well, this guy, it got to his head, whatever the case may be. How do you find a common ground? Like say with like a Dan Walrack, because we know what's coming with that. Guy does $18 million, probably never going to get repeated in this industry again. And if it does, it's going to be a long time from now.
Or should it?
Yeah. $18 million. One guy. This is one guy, not a company. Again, to put that in perspective, we did 14 million last year and had a pretty successful year. Dan Walrack sold 18 by himself. How do you manage over a guy that does $18 million himself?
You know, the great thing is you support him, right? That's what our jobs as leaders are. Most organizations get that wrong. They're like, hey, we work for, I'm just going to use my name, right? Hey, we work for Reed. No, Reed works for you. It's my job to support the team to get them everything. I met Dan at houses, signing them up at 5 a.m. because they had to get it done before they went to work. That's how busy he was. You have to have all hands on deck, right? You support those Eagles, right? I mean, you're always supporting your Eagles. Make sure that that's where all your attention goes. And the flip side of that with these young kids, right? Talk about entitlement, right? I think that's where we want to go with this. Entitlement is all over the world right now, no matter what industry, what you're talking about, participation trophies, all that type of stuff. If you're grateful each and every day, you won't be entitled. So we do personal development. We do it for about an hour and a half every Thursday. It's mandatory for all my sales reps. And it's, if we can develop them, they will get the knowledge that they need, but it also starts with the leader has to do double of what anybody else is doing. So
how do you, because I feel like you guys are such a tight-knit group, again, like at least the heads that I've met, right? You and your part, you know, all the guys. But one thing that I've always tried to incorporate is like, I'm big on, if the team's successful, the individual accolades will come, right? And I feel like you guys have that same philosophy. But how did you help get, like, again, like these younger guys that come in and maybe they're not necessarily entitled. They come in and they're just like, dude, I need to make money, or they left a job to try this out. And whether it's a salary, whatever the case is, it's just like, they have to start somewhere. And so how did you, you know, manage over that? Because like, you don't want them to be all about me, but there's a lot of that has to happen because like they're fresh. They're trying to make it, you know?
Yeah. And that's a great question. I actually love that question. And it starts with, you know, maybe a recommendation is every now and then get in front of them, right? Get these guys out to a nice dinner or do a group gathering, and they're going to start seeing the things that the hard work, you know what I mean? It pays off, and you invite them along right away. Like after their first deal, we make it a thing. We're taking them out for a nice dinner. Matter of fact, Nate, you know, we were talking about Nate. So we took Nate and his girlfriend out to Manny's. They've never been to a steak joint like that. Now, if we gave Nate $500, he's not going to remember that. He still talks about that dinner every single day, right? So you get them into to those nice things.
It just feels like he's part of something. You know, you feel like, yeah, you've invited him in now, and it's no longer just, hey man, like it's cool that you sell roofs for us, but like we want to let you know that, you know, this is deeper than that, bro. Like we want you to be good people. And we have that philosophy too. And we actually picked that up from your partners. You know, Tony and Ty, they inspire the shit out of me. I've bought in completely on that. Like me and him too, we talk about the steak dinners. No, I don't take that for granted at all. I've never been to a steakhouse at the level that we've been eating them now for the last few years in my entire life. Like I was well into my 30s. I mean, I wasn't even a homeowner until I was 30 years old. Like I didn't even buy my first car. My truck I bought last year was my very first new truck for myself. And I've been making money, but it's just, it's crazy, man. It's like mind blowing. I used to think that an expensive dinner was $200. You know, I was like, holy shit, dude, how am I this is a lot, dude. Like this is like a special occasion thing. I don't even want to talk about some of the restaurants that we've been eating at, you know, it's just like, it's crazy. And to see everybody just come together and like, man, it's special, dude. But we tell people when we bring them in here too, like we want you to look at Romans Roofing as an opportunity to build yourself up to be a better human being. And then we also just happen to do roofing and siding. You know, we happen to do that as well. Like we care about our client base, but if we don't start at the core and produce good humans to go out there and knock doors, then we're just contributing to the bullshit image that this industry already carries.
Yeah. It's the personal development piece, developing people. The vehicle that we use is roofing and siding. That's what it is, right? And you know, you mentioned the dinner thing, right? I get up at 3:00 in the morning, right? I'm an avid worker. I'm 53 years old. I've got to go. I'm like the Tin Man. I have to oil those joints in the morning. You
3 a.m.
3 a.m.
What time are you going to bed?
I'm sleeping before 9. Right. I got a good solid 6 hours every single night, but we were out late last night. Right. And the wife's even like, well, how are you going to do it? Right. I know your dinner's at 7:30. You're not getting home till midnight. And I'm like, I am so extremely grateful that I had the opportunity to be invited to a place like Manny's. I got all the energy I need, man. So
Yeah,
I
dude.
appreciate that from you guys. And, you know, I woke up, did a little video, posted it to my team, talked about discipline. Didn't get to bed till 11:45. I was up, you know, I didn't get up till like 4, a little bit before 4.
You slept in.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Hey, man, this guy slept in. It's 4 a.m. Made it to the gym, right? I did my training. I did my morning mindset routine. That's something that's kept me on track, right? If I miss, I'm a slug. That's me. Some people just do a cold shower. Some people walk their dog. Everyone has their different
I just did the cold shower this morning. That's what I was telling him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did. I enjoy them sometimes. I don't even do it for like any benefits
Is
or
it
anything.
cold?
Yeah. I just don't even mess with the hot water. I was
Really?
like straight just cold shower. It feels good, dude, on my skin.
I couldn't do it for as long as like a shower, like 5 minutes. I feel like I would be too much. Like I could do it for like a minute.
Well, that's really all it is, though. You know, you don't have to be Kramer from Seinfeld. We don't need to take 7 hours in the shower. You get in there and you wash yourself, and I think you exit out after that. I think you're all right. But
I just feel like I'd be too cold after a couple
it feels
minutes.
good, dude. That's the thing, though. Like, I don't know, like does something with your pores, but like as soon as you hit that air, you're just
That's
like,
why
man.
they do like the cold plunges and all that.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Like it's an amazing
Sick.
feeling sometimes.
But you talked about the dinner, and I love that. This is such a good analogy. I feel like it's just like he was saying, you know, we still don't take this for granted because again, not everybody knows everyone's past, right? Like, so I'm 36. I know some of the guys we're meeting are a little bit older than us, but the one thing that I think helped me buy in with like your guys' group and your mentality is the similarities that we kind of have is that you guys don't forget where you came from. And not that I'm not trying to put people out there, but you guys are all doing really well for yourselves, to say the least. And the fact that, and I mean this very in the nice way, but like Tony came to dinner in a hoodie because that's who he is. He's not there trying to be something he's not. And and it's Elijah, again, a key example, because he's been doing really well for himself. He is unapologetically who he is. Like, again, I've known this guy most of my entire life. We grew up together. We talked a little bit last night. I'm like, you're the guy that's going to wear your gym shoes and a World's Okay, a salesman shirt, right?
Yeah, I was reading that earlier. I was like,
and not think twice because that's a shirt he would have wore 10 years ago. Like, I've never been big on like the saying shirts, but Elijah's always been that guy and he's still that guy. It doesn't matter about I'd say it doesn't matter about the money. It's being true to yourself. And I was telling him, because, they give me crap, like, you're trying to get dressed up. Like, before I had anything, I still tried getting dressed up for dinner, right? That's just me. And it's...
Well, you know our relationship. I'm going to roast him.
I thought something was coming right now.
Dude, there's nothing he can do that I wouldn't. Like, I was nice to him today, because I inspired him to go get a pair of Nikes. And I even told him, I said, hey, man, go get yourself, because he always tries to match up weird shit. So, those are awesome. But here's the thing, though, and I'm glad you're showcasing those, because now here it comes. So those shoes are badass. And this is why I told you should own a couple pairs of them, because then when you put together outfits, they blend in really nice. And also the secret to keeping shoes nice, like, people think I bought these, like, they're like brand new shoes. I've had these shoes for a year. I wore these last year in Utah. The thing is that you got to have multiple pairs to rotate them out. So then when you wear like a gray shirt, a black hat, and jeans, you don't have like shoes that don't blend in with anything. You want to match them up to something.
So this is why it's kind of funny. Is like, so I'm like, I'd wear brown boots, or I'd have a different, like, dressier shoes, and still get roasted, right?
He's trying to play
I
this.
think you're going to get roasted.
It doesn't,
way, right?
It doesn't matter.
No matter what. Yeah. No matter what.
It's the fact that we're even talking about it is so stupid.
Well, because he's downplaying it right now. He's telling you that he wears like a suit, which is not necessarily the case. Like, my man puts on pants sometimes that I don't know where you get the colors from. I have been to multiple stores in my life, and I don't know where you find maroon pants
from Target.
Wait,
no way. I'm gonna go to the left.
Yeah, we've been there. No,
yeah. Everybody shops at Target boutique, right?
Yeah.
They don't have maroon pants.
No,
I'm gonna show.
you got those from like Banana Republic or something. Like,
so hang on, my maroon dress pants that you guys all make fun of me for, that is a suit set that I did get. I think I bought it from Express.
So you make sure not to wear that top around me.
Like, I'm not going to wear a suit jacket. I don't have to. Well, again,
and that's why no one will remember your name.
There's previous places where that just got old really quick. But
dude, did you have the pins?
Man,
did you have the pins on your suit jackets?
I got a couple of them, but I was never
the hammer pins.
I had the original ones.
The gears.
Yeah, but I never got enough of them like everybody else.
We're definitely going to have you guys on again when we discuss that, because it's starting to gear toward that acceptable. With all the things that are going on right now, it's almost to the point where we can actually start talking and discussing stuff like that, and I can't wait for it. I really can't, but you know what? At the end of the day, though, and we've mentioned this before too, that was actually probably the best thing that ever happened to a lot of us, because you saw a high scale, like you saw a global scale of what could have been. And then what we don't talk about often, and we should thank them for, is then you saw how to fuck it all up, and like basically what not to do. And as long as you were in the right mindset to take note of the things that they were doing, and then you turn around and you apply the exact opposite, and hey, baby, here we are, we're successful. Like they literally wrote a formula on what not to do play by play. And so the learning experience alone was worth everything that happened there.
That and the relationships, right? I probably wouldn't be sitting here with you two if it wasn't for that, right? We probably wouldn't know Mike Armalis.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't collaborate, right?
Well, you still might, Mike, like, well, he's that guy. He's going to network even when he ain't got nothing to network with. Like, that guy, he gets out there. Everybody knows him. Everybody knows
he
him.
is at all the events, that's for sure. But that's one thing, the relationships you develop. Even JJ, just running into JJ down in Mexico at the vendor deal, and you can't take those things back. And yeah, we learned a ton, right?
Shout out to JJ, by the way.
Yeah.
JJ, I got your Oakleys.
Yeah.
Yeah, he left these in Utah. I was talking about it yesterday, but yeah, these are JJ's. So yeah, I rock them while I have them. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, I think Angelo, do we hear a little story about JJ's famous for leaving his glasses behind? Is
he?
You were telling us a little about that.
Yeah, I thought
well,
there was a little story about that last
Well,
night.
he left them in Utah. So we went out to Utah, and when I was leaving the Airbnb that we had, I saw them sitting there on the counter. And I was like, oh, these are cool glasses. So I pick them up and I'm like, holy shit, these are expensive glasses. Like, definitely not mine. I'm thinking of everybody in our house. And I'm like, dude, there's no one in our house is buying $300 pair of sunglasses. Maybe Armalis. And I'm like, I don't think so. So I'm like, I don't know whose these are, but I'm like, I'm not leaving them here. I'm not going to leave them on the counter. So I literally put them on my hat. And then right when I did that, I'm about to walk out the door, and JJ texts the group and he's like, hey, man, I think I left my Oakleys at the Airbnb. I was like, okay, cool, dude, I'll grab them. So I already had him. I'm like, I got him, you know? And that was where it ended. He never like asked me to mail it. He still hasn't sent me his address or anything. I mean, I'm going to see him. We're going down there to shoot a podcast with him. Like we're going to go to the indie office so we could shoot with JJ and TJ together. Okay. And probably a couple of the guys too. I would imagine, you know, to give the whole tour out there and stuff, but maybe I'll give him his sunglasses back then. But yeah. So JJ, if you need them, brother, I got them.
Steve, he probably already got another pair. No JJ, right?
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone that tan in January. And when we saw him in Utah, I was like, damn, dude, that is a nice tan.
Well, he just got back from, what was it that he said? He brought his family there.
Yeah, they were on a trip.
Yeah, like, I don't want to say Costa Rica, but it was something like that.
Cabo or something.
Yeah,
something cool.
Something cool we don't even know about yet. Yeah. So awesome.
It's the time for contractor travel, right? I mean, this is the season
really
for it.
Yeah.
This is.
I call it musical chairs too. So like December 1st to February, middle of February is musical chairs because that's when everybody starts bouncing around, or you get the sales reps that get the idea of running their own companies and stuff. So like you have all that going on. But then, traveling is, it's ridiculous. I had to cut it off, man. I'm not used to this. Like I didn't fly on a plane until I was 30 years old. Now I'm flying 7 times a year. So I'm like trying to navigate and get used to the whole traveling thing. But dude, Mike is a fucking monster, dude. He's 51 years. I cannot keep up with him, dude. He wants to get off a plane and get right back on another one and go somewhere else. And these aren't small travels either. Like we were going to go to London for the Bears game. And Mike starts planning out this trip. And at first it's me and Angelo like, all right, man, 5 days. We got kids at home, dude. I don't want to be away from my daughter like that. Like, so we got 5 days. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to do like the Harry Potter experience in London, do the Jack the Ripper tour. Like, we're going to go do all this fun stuff and just stay in London, watch the Bears and come home.
It's like a 4-day thing.
So the plans fell through, but Mike comes back to us and he's like, all right, we're going to land in Iceland and then we're going to drive into Ireland. I'm not making this up. We're going to drive into Ireland, which is 4 hours away. He's like, and then 2 hours north of that, we can get into Scotland. And he's like, after that, it's a 4-hour train ride into London. And he goes, but then if we jump on a charter from London, we can get into Belgium in like an hour. And he's like, and they have great breweries and stuff. I'm like, Mike,
that's 12 days, by the way.
I have a family. Oh,
yeah. It was a 10-day.
He goes, dude, when else are we going to be in Europe? I was like, I don't know, Mike, but I got to think it's going to happen. Like, let's plan this out. Let's maybe bring our families. Like, you know, my daughter might want to see some of this shit. Like, I don't have 12 days to go travel. And then he lands. He wanted to land here and then turn around and go somewhere else again. I'm like, bro, like IRE's coming up.
Right.
And we were just in Utah. We're in Minnesota. And then you want to go to IRE in 2 weeks. And then he wants to go to Atlanta next month. I'm like, bro, I just
can't do it.
Yeah, I don't have it in me, man.
You know, there's so many conventions on the off season, right? And they start pretty early October, basically.
Yeah.
You would literally wear yourself out trying to make them all, right?
Yeah.
It's, hey, what are we really looking into this year, right, for our organization? Where do we want to go? Okay, we got some changes coming up. Everyone knows about the industry changes, right? Retail, really good retail sales is going to be a really big thing in our industry. Where do I go to get the most information on that, right? But you can't hit them all. You'll wear yourself.
No.
Well, I have 2 kids. They're grown now, 20 and 18. My youngest just turned 18. It's like, man, what a ride, right?
Yeah.
It seemed like they were this big yesterday, but it is tough with all the missing stuff that we do throughout the season to be away, especially on a trip, something like that. I get that same thought. Like we're all doing a Dan, who you got on later, Tony, myself, a couple other couples, and all of our kids, right? We do family vacations together too on the off.
Hell yeah.
That's really cool.
I'm trying to do that with him, but he's got really, really little kids and his wife hates me. But once we move past those 2 things, like we'll be able to vacation together eventually. Like that's what our goal is. But you know, we did our first year in this with Romans, we took everybody to Wisconsin Dells for the Christmas party instead of just doing a Christmas party, which you would think was a good thing, but then you have those guys that just like, no, dude, where's the open bar? And we want bonuses. I'm like, dude, you're not going to remember the cash I give you. And then you're just going to drink. Like, come on, man. Like this, let's make memories.
Is that guy still with you?
Which one?
The one who said, where's the open bar?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think he is still here.
But it's more like it's people not knowing, right? So I think there's something to be said again to like bonuses around Christmas time. Again, this was our first year. Some of these guys that came in, and again, they don't know the struggle that we went through to get to that point. And not that they didn't put in a lot of work, because that's how, again, our sales team is what drives the whole company. But it's again, you know, there's nothing wrong with being ignorant to something. You just don't know, right?
Yeah.
And when we brought everyone there, you know, there was a little bit of, I wouldn't say pushback on my part, but it was like, why don't we just give the guys bonuses? It's, you know, it's right before Christmas. I know they can use the money. And it's, even though I agree, like experiences, because that's what I try to do with my kids, right? You want to
memories.
Yeah, because you can take that with you forever.
Yeah.
And it, you know, at the time we did have people like that, but now when we talk about it, everyone I think is grateful for that, because like there was good memories there. Like everyone had fun, and we get to talk about that when we've been doing a lot of interviews right before we came out here, and when we talk to you know these guys that are potentials and other sales reps and stuff, kind of will pop in, and it's the shit to be able to like, yeah, our first year, you know, because they're like, well, what do you guys do for fun? I was like, well, where do we start? You know, our first Christmas together in this huge endeavor we took, and it wasn't just couples. We took their entire family, like their kids. We flipped the bill for the whole thing, and it's unfortunate that some people will see that as like, oh, you guys are trying to flex. I was like, no, it's because like we give a shit. Like I genuinely like, and we say it at work all the time, but like I will get into a soapbox. I'm like, I hope you guys honestly understand like how much I genuinely love you, because I don't have the life I have without you guys, and it's all of us working for this goal. But to get back to the Christmas party thing, that was one of our better decisions in the grand scheme of it.
Well, I like that, because you can see that you truly care, right? You can see it, right? When you talk about that stuff, and you have to care about people. You have to generally care about them. Well, people know when you're faking stuff, man. It's, you know, we see certain people. I think you were discussing it a little bit earlier when we were just having a couch chat out here earlier of, man, I'm watching this one guy. I'm not listening to anything. We had a little talk about it last night. Someone who hasn't been in the industry for 20 years is trying to tell you how to do something. And it's like, but they're so fake about it, right? They don't really care. They just want to put themselves out in front of something. So you got to be genuine.
Yeah, I agree. I'm here to put an end to that. Full disclosure. Everybody who knows me knows I like to ruffle feathers. But when I was sitting there, and I had a conversation actually 2 years ago with Deshaun, and we discussed things multiple times. But one of the things that really bothered me, I was like, man, I'm going to these events and they're fun, but then I'm watching somebody who hasn't hit doors, you know, in a long time. You haven't hit a door in 15 years and you're telling me how to close at a door. And I'm just like, what? Do you have any idea how drastically different the industry is now? Like, what do we do about these people? Because no one's doing anything. You know, it's all about who kicks money to who or whoever. So I'm like, fuck it. I'll put myself up there. And then when I do get up there, and make no mistake about it, I will. But when I do, I'm just going to expose people at that point. It ain't even going to be about me being on a stage. I'm not trying to be a guru. I'm just trying to make our industry fun again. Like, that's the thing that we're trying to do, is just fun. No one's talking about that. Everybody wants to sell. They want to get leads off their social media. They want to network with people and put, you know, write a book that took them 3 weeks to write and put it out there like it's some great thing. And it's like, dude, well, how about we let everybody know what they're missing out on as far as like development and human growth, and then also the finances, and then we show them how, like, hey, this is, you know, we're developing structures, we're putting these things in place, we're changing people's lives for the better, and like putting them together to make like a big grand design. Like, there's really cool things happening right now in the industry, and there's a lot of good opportunities here, but I don't think people are pushing it enough. It shouldn't be one of those things where we fall into it. Thank God we did, but it shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't have to go, oh man, I'm lucky to become a roofer or a door knocker. What if somebody was on a stage telling you how badass it is on a consistent basis online? That would make people who would potentially be good at this want to get into this industry. And that's what we're lacking right now. We're lacking not only training, because that is obviously the biggest gap in this industry, but we're lacking real, genuine people. We're letting snakes and sharks come in here just because they had some type of sales background. Like, no, dude, give me the. I'm sorry, what's the kid's name on your Nate? Give me 10 of those guys, and we'll conquer the world. You know, like that's what we need. So I don't know. I just feel like it's my obligation now at this point to really press on people how much fun we're having and how great the industry is and what it can do for you.
Yeah, and they don't even touch on what's really going on or how you really do it, right?
Yeah. Oh,
It's a
yeah.
lot
No,
of
it's
talk
all
about
fluff.
themselves. There's no talk about any door approach or how you have to grind on doors. And then the other piece was, I think we were down at, I'm not going to name the event. We were down at a certain event. And it took, I think, until the last day, about one of the last speeches, till I heard anything on personal development. It was all about me, right? That's all it was. And it's like, you don't get what we're doing here.
No.
You have no idea what we're actually doing.
Yeah, there's a huge disconnect, man.
Yeah.
Well, it's because they're doing something different, you know. Like I don't name drop when we're talking, you know, necessarily negatively. Yes, exactly. That's what the focal point is. And people like listening or watching will be like, "Oh, Elijah, aren't you putting cameras on? Like, haven't you been doing that lately?" Yes, I have. But if you watch the videos and you actually listen to them, I'm not spewing the same bullshit that you're hearing from everybody else. I want people to be real about it. And like we touched base on earlier, simple, not easy. How about we really hear what it takes to be successful in this, and then give those people that knowledge to go out and do something. If you're gonna be a promoter or somebody who's telling people how to take it to the next level, and you know, like Dan, go beyond the hustle, or Deshaun with Roof Hustlers and stuff, like there are genuine people out there that are thrust into this because of how good they were in a certain area, and they're forced to be leaders. And people that are leaders right now are using the platforms just to gain more money for themselves, as opposed to like genuinely caring and helping create things. In my life, when I was younger, we grew up in poverty. And the number one thing that really frustrated me when I was between the 18 and 30 years old, because I couldn't hold a job down to save my life, it was watching people get into a position where they could help and they chose not to. And that really, really bothered me. Because I kept telling myself, dude, if I ever make it, if I ever become any type of success, in my life, I'm going to help my boys. Like, it's going to happen. And I've stayed true to that. And that's why I'm like trying to change that narrative too, that like, you can't work with family, can't work with friends. Fuck all that. I want people I trust next to me, and I want to teach them how I taught. I was forced to teach myself and learn from some of the gurus in this industry, but like, I want to teach them what changed my life so that they could do it to better their lives. And then we saw a video recently when the guy was like, there's no scenario where helping somebody who works for you or works with you, helping them achieve more money than they made the year prior, and you'll lose money. There's no scenario. You can't. I can't ask Angelo. Well, it's a bad example because you don't work for me. One of our sales guys. No,
it's not about the money.
And to say that, then we should definitely be trying to get everybody to like $500,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? Like all our sales guys are like, well, I want to make this much. I'm like, I want to give you that much. I want to give you a $500,000 a year. Like it would mean the world to me to give you that. Like I want that.
It's more just, to kind of go back a little bit, is you talked about like the social media stuff and everyone getting on platforms and things. And I find it's ironic. It's like kind of like a conundrum, because you'll hear people talk about it while they're on a podcast about not being on a podcast almost, right? Or not doing the content, but they're doing it because it has to get out there. Something, and I really like the phrase of it. It's a ET and a couple guys that do a podcast once a week or whatever. But it's
Secret
called
to Success podcast. Yeah,
Is
correct.
that ET the Preacher?
Yep.
But
Eric Thomas. Yeah, love him.
No, great. I love. Yeah, he's super motivational. But they said something about it was about being a producer over a consumer, and not producer in the sense of being behind the scenes. Like Revens and Will are right now. It's about being like creating. And I was listening to it a little bit, but it was just that phrase, like, that's where the disconnect is that you can create so much, and that's where you're going to get, the financials, you're going to get more of the notoriety and the success, right? Versus being the consumer, right? So we want to put out the content because it's going to, and again, in our hopes that we actually genuinely help people or put our stuff out there, versus just consuming, because that's just what the market is. And I just think it's kind of a conundrum, right? I don't know.
Well, you have to go out there, because what we're noticing, and Elijah touched on it earlier, right? There's people who are acting like leaders who don't care about leading. And they're the ones who are out on top of these platforms, and we're letting them do it. You're right?
That's those perfect. You said that perfect. We're letting them do it.
Yeah, we're letting them do it. Us who genuinely care are letting those guys do it. And yeah, you're doing it now. Like, you know what? I am, right? Because we got to stop this.
Yeah.
Right? We got to come with the masses of the people who actually care about this industry and care about the people in it and the people they want to bring into it, and get rid of I call them bad actors, right? Who are in it for themselves. They're the quick grab and go, right? You want customers for life. Now, none of us are ever going to be perfect in it.
No.
But we're going to own up to our mistakes. We're going to take responsibility, and we're going to put our best foot forward, right? I can tell you this, we're better today than we were 6 months ago, and I'm going to be even better tomorrow.
That's it, man.
No, that's the name of the game.
Yeah.
I have 2 lists that I follow at my house that really make me happy. And the one of them is the books that I've read. Because, like, I'm not at your level, though, man. You're doing that much. But I set a goal last year for 25 books in a year, and I finished all 25. And then I just finished my Grant Cardone book that I was reading now, the Become Obsessed or Be Average or Be Obsessed.
Be obsessed or be average.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, baby. Yeah, so it was surprisingly good, dude. I got into that thinking he was going to be a douchebag, but it was great. But my other list, and that's my fun one, is that I have 8 people on a list that I've helped achieve 6 figures for the first time in their lives. And one of those guys is not with me anymore, but he's still in the industry. And that list, I'm hoping to grow to 12 or 13 by the end of this year. And that list makes me really happy because I like put their names down and it's like, okay, this person. And I was telling my sales guys, it took me till about 2 years ago when it dawned on me, finally, it made sense. Everybody always said, when you stop caring about money, it's when you'll make the most money. Well, that's the truth. Because you invest into people under you and you tell them, hey, man, I'm going to teach you exactly what I know and how I got to this level. And I'm going to invest in you. And we're going to see what happens out of it. And what has ended up happening is people, our sales reps are buying houses. They're moving into better rentals if they're renters. They're creating families. They're
happier.
Yeah, just genuinely. And I want you to come to our office. I like
to say it this way: they're living their best life.
Yes. That's why I want you to come to our office too. Like we got to have you guys down there. Bro,
anytime, man.
The vibes that you get when you walk in is it's amazing, dude. I even feel it when I walk in there too. I'm like, dude, this is so cool. And then when the interview people, like when we interview them, they always leave fired up. And they're always like, man, there's just like this energy here. I've been getting text messages from people I get interviewed like literally 20 minutes after they leave. They're like, I don't know why, man, but like I'm fired up. Like, I'm excited. And I'm like, man, me too, dude. Like that's how people should come to work. We deal with enough stress in our personal lives. You should have fun and be successful. You should be able to go to work without a dark cloud over you and come home without a dark cloud over you. Now, I'm not saying stress-free. I'm not saying that, but yeah.
A lot of pressure, a little bit of stress, but that's the thing. You have to really enjoy it. You have to embrace it, and there's a passion to it that you can't explain, right? And I like to call it the best commissions ever, non-monetary commissions. It's when someone else is actually commissioning.
Oh, yeah.
That's what this is about, right?
Yeah.
You've done well. You've sold for yourself. You could go out and sign a deal. Same thing with you, Angelo.
Wow.
But when you help someone, you know what? I don't know if we want to get back into this, do we? But when you actually contribute, right? I'm trying to remember which guy it is. I was just listening to him. It's like it's not what you consume when you become successful. It's what you can contribute. It's and just when you contribute to other people, I don't know. You can't explain it. I don't want to get emotional on your podcast. We want to be loose. But
Angelo, he's ready to cry.
Yeah, I know.
At any given moment.
I can see him, but that's why, you know what? I like being around people like that because, you know what? I'm not going to hide it, right? This is my true passion. I do love developing people, showing them a path. And the thing is, and we've talked about this earlier, is we've went through some rights and wrongs throughout our career, right? Even 100%. Early on, like we screw a lot of stuff up, right? I think, it could have been that my first child, right? That would be Hannah. Shout out to my family, right? Jesse, Hannah, and Madison. But
they're why we do it, man.
Man. Money can start your journey, but if you don't have a why that's worth more than money, which is those 3 people, Jesse, Hannah, and Madison, you're not going to continue to do that journey. You'll screw it up, right?
No, 100%. Something I used to say a lot. So like Tony and I, the thing we've been talking about is like creating content. I used to do it a lot, but one of the things I used to always coin on there was live the life you love and love the life you live. I think one of the greatest things that's been since I call it like an entrepreneur, because I was gracious enough to have met Jeff. and he gave me the keys to this facility, you know. And shout out to Jeff Semko, man, like the guy that started all of Romans, right? Named it after his son. Again, talking about family. And I met him because I was his rep when I worked at ABC. And he called me back like a year later and was like, would you ever consider this? And at the time, I'm with you guys at the last company, you know, we were at. And I was like, no, man, I'm doing really well here. And we all were. But he was like, you know, then things happened. And I was like, oh, and it is what it is, right? I don't hold grudges anymore about that. But he gave me the keys to this thing. And I think we talk about failures and stuff like that, and getting to that point for me was like, you know, how do you get to that? Love the life you live and live the life you love. Like I've always been that way. And I've had people are like, you're always so happy. And you're always, cause like, I don't know if it's manifesting, you know, like there has to be some truth to that, or it's your faith or whatever it is, but I've never not known it wasn't going to be okay. Like I truly, like, my mom died and I was in an airport. And after that, I was just like, it's still going to be okay. One of my, our good friends, Matt, I talked to him afterwards and he's like, how are you doing this? You know, I'm doing the eulogy and all that within this 7-day period. And I just, you know, I was like, it's because it's just going to be okay. Like there's no choice. And it almost comes off sometimes where people look at it as a negative. They're like, you're too, how did they put it? That I'm so positive and so looking for that silver lining that I'm almost diminishing like their feelings. And it's hard because I'm not. I just genuinely, like, I know you feel that way. But I truly mean it, like it's going to be okay. You know, a quick story, because we're talking, it's on the topic of family, is, you know, my wife, so my oldest, my son Jackson, you know, and shout out to my kids, you know, Jackson, Grace and Cohen, and my beautiful wife Lauren. But when we had Jackson, me and my ex, you know, we that was it. We separate and I have my son, and my wife didn't know if she could have kids, right? She had miscarriages in her previous relationships, and we're sitting here, and it's one of those things, like those moments in life you never forget. I'm at the railroad. I'm in our work truck, and she had to go to see her, you know, her gynecologist and all that. And she's like, well, he says, telling me all this stuff in which I'm already on overtime. I want to hear the story, but I'm like, I got to get back to work. But she says to me, you know, telling me everything about the appointment, right? To make this long story short. And I was like, well, there's a chance, right? Like at least one. And she's like, well, yeah, there's like a 1% chance that we can get pregnant and all this. And I'm like, cool, we're good. We went and did the IVF and all that. And now I'm going to get emotional, but like have our grace. And it's like, you have to have that. Like, it's just going to work out. And I give her shit for it now, because when we talk about that, I'm like, because it did. And then right after Grace, and everything goes with
right her. After Grace.
We, this is the joke, is
right.
I say, straight up, dude.
The handful of times that we did it,
she went from not being able to have any babies to popping out two of them.
Two.
And quick.
So yeah, Grace and Cohen.
But they weren't twins, but she had.
They're like Irish twins.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's just, and that's the thing, is Elijah's always been on that. Like, it's going to work out. I'm meeting guys like you that you said you've had like these, hey, I had jobs and stuff. Like, I've never had those struggles. I'm like, and I'm gracious to say that it's not an arrogant thing. Like, I'm going to be fine.
I'm the one who, right. I mean, it was working out fine, right? I was back then, I don't know if it was entitlement. It was just taking advantage of things being okay. Right. Like I was always, I'll tell you a story about my first child, right? I had just met Jesse, and it might have been, you know, we don't want to get too deep into those things, but one of the first times. And, you know, that was a very emotional thing for her. And she's like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And I said that same exact verse. It's going to be okay. But I want to touch on something you said about Grant Cardone. You know, you're like, man, and I was really surprised he wasn't a douchebag. Grant Cardone talks about loving your wife and loving your family. Like, why would you go to work, give everything you got to everybody at work, and come home and not do the same to your family? So if you really get to know what Grant's doing, like we're on his training.
No, I know you guys are, yeah. Well, that's why I gave the book a chance, full disclosure, because Ty and me have had conversations with him, and he's like, dude, he's like, just check it out, you know, check it out. And what was real, I told you guys about this. I was like, surprisingly, like I told Jeff Semko, one of our partners here, because he reads a lot of books with me, and I'm like, dude, you guys need to check this out, because the way he's wording things is the way books should be written. I want to make sure that those things get done the right way. So
this is one of those.
We could go, yeah, we could go on for hours, and we didn't know what to expect when we had John here. We're like, man, we don't. you know, because for everybody watching or listening right now, this is our first time also talking with Reed. Like, so like we literally went into this blind and dude, we could go 2-3 more hours.
Yeah,
with
man,
you.
this was one of those.
I feel like it's been 10 minutes, and you know, obviously, you know, give a shout out to these guys, right? All the work they're doing back here. And
Spark Raw is fucking amazing, and then they're showing the 50-minute mark, so you guys know that Reed's about to put Angelo in a chokehold, and Will's gonna drop kick me. So we gotta cut ties on it, but
yeah, for sure.
But
we're gonna do this again, bro. Like we're gonna get you on here again. There's a couple guests we say like, hey man, we got to get you on here again, but we do, dude. Like, we do.
Yeah.
So it's funny. So we were talking this morning about, and quickly to wrap it up, but one of the other podcasts, like, I get so engulfed in it that I sometimes forget, like, there's timing. And like I say, I'll say things off the cuff and I don't mean anything by it. And you already know what I'm talking about. And one of the things, it's a little offensive. It
the
wasn't
last
meant
episode,
to me.
he says, he meant to say something else, but he says something different. If you haven't heard, I'm not going to repeat it again for this episode because it's been so great. Please, God, don't censor us. But the last episode, he said something, he misworded it on the fly.
Because, we're just talking.
He meant something different. I'll explain it when we're done. He meant something different,
after.
But anyway, man, Reed, dude, it was... Honestly, dude, it was a pleasure. Like,
hell yeah, man! Like we do. Like if you guys are back up by us again, which again we're gonna run into each other.
Oh, absolutely.
I'd love to. Yeah, man. This was just another good one, and that's like, yeah, man. I love these conversations more than, again, I think you can tell.
Yeah.
I can't even say more than you know, because you two are the guys I can already tell we're in sync with that. Like I love getting into the deep shit, man.
Yeah, I do too. It's just too many people take it for granted what we do, but I want to let you two know I'm extremely grateful for the offer, for the opportunity. Like I didn't know what to expect. Like, you know, you're usually fine, but you know, there's a big setup here. These guys did a lot of work, and it's like, am I going to freeze up? Can I have a conversation?
Yep. Sometimes
you guys made it very, very easy to have conversations. So, man, we really appreciate you
that,
both,
man.
And thank you so much. And I'm truly grateful for the opportunity to get my first one out of the way. So
it's so funny how many things that we brought up now that we talked about this morning. Because on our way in here, we were talking about how nervous some people get with 4 cameras looking at them because they got to do different angles. So for those that can't see it now behind the scenes, because Spark Raw is so talented, but there are literally 4 cameras sitting here right now, and like lights are on, and we're in a soundproof like room, and you know, Hook, shout out to you guys for letting us use your studio, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Tim.
Yeah, you did great, man. And it was a great episode. Yeah. And thank you guys for listening, and see you on the next one.
Roof Trollz.